On the podcast today, I've got a UFC fighter. We talk about being mistaken for Steve Carell from The Office, fighting for a UFC title, and fighting at home at UFC 305. Well, look, thanks so much for taking the time to meet with me, Steve. Really appreciate it, man. You've had a meteoric rise in the UFC since you've come in, really burst to the scene. Like I saw some of your fights, I think it was with Eternal. Is that based in Perth, Eternal?
Yeah, so they have fights in Perth, they have fights in the Gold Coast. They've had fights in a few different places around Australia, and they even had one in New Zealand a while ago.
Okay.
So it's Australian based, not Perth based.
Yeah. I thought it was. I remember just seeing like one of the fights back then. I think it might have been against Shannon Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
And you've exploded into the UFC, man. And I think like one of the most interesting aspects about you, Steve, is that you don't have the typical fighter look. And people kind of underestimate that about you. And I think like your skills on the stage are just unbelievable, man. Like you're so well rounded in everything that you kind of do. So I wanted to kind of ask you about that, kind of like growing up or maybe in fighting. Has that been something you kind of had to work through?
What, being underestimated?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody expected me to be very good, except the people close to me, I guess. Like, I didn't look the part. I was skinny, all that nonsense. So it's not like it really held me back. It just people didn't think I was going to be very good. And then when I did beat, I guess Shannon Ross was the big one. I beat him, and people were like, oh, okay. He sort of came out of nowhere, and then I kept beating people, and this guy's really good. And then in the UFC now, he probably got a hard fight. Probably won't win that. Oh, he won that one too. He can't beat the champ, and obviously I didn't. That sucks. But I gave it a better crack than people thought I would. So don't think it's too much of a detriment or anything. It's, again, sort of white noise. People disrespect everybody and underestimate most people. So why would I be any different?
Exactly. I think that your performance in that fight was unbelievable. When watching it live, I thought you actually won that fight, you know?
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah. You had like some amazing like pull counters, and you're really setting up with a hook as well, left hook. And I'm gonna say Pandosha must have a head made of concrete. He's a strong chin, man.
Yeah, usually when you hit somebody, whether you rock them or not, their head moves. And I hit him, and his head didn't move from its area in space. It was like a wild experience. But yes, he's made a career out of having a good chin, having good grappling, and just walking forward on people. So got to make some adaptations and try to make my way back.
What surprised you most about when you're fighting him? Like, I know he's got a lot of cardio. He's a dog of a fighter. He's like very aggressive and also like scrambling and whatnot. But like, what surprised you most about that fight, Steve?
Honestly, his scrambling ability. I know that people say how good it is and it's amazing, but I out-scramble almost everybody I train with and compete with and that sort of thing. So it was genuinely a shock to get reversed that consistently. I mean, even if I lose a scramble, most of the time I'll stalemate it and get back up. But he was able to actually reverse me, which was definitely a shock. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of felt that, like, you know, some people online were saying and give you some criticism about the fifth round, how you took him down in the last 90 seconds and how you ruined the fight or something like that. But I kind of disagreed with that idea, because if you took him down and controlled him, then you won the fight, you know? So like, I thought that was kind of like a, you know, I understand like the critics and whatnot, but like, how did you kind of feel like with your sort of decision-making process with these sort of like close moments? So like, what did you kind of like learn from that, Steve?
At the time, I think I'd stop 50% of his takedowns. So it's not like I was stopping every takedown or anything like that. That would definitely change my decision-making going into the last round. So I'm like on the fence with it. I don't know if I should have taken him down, not taken him down, because if I could have kept it on the feet for the last part of the round, I win, or likely I win. I'm not guaranteed, obviously.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just as likely he takes me down, and then I'm in the same spot because I wasn't stopping him consistently. So I don't know what the right decision was.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of people that know what they're talking about, and most of them think it was the wrong decision. So
Okay.
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, like this fight you got upcoming with in Perth next week against Kai Kara France. As an Aussie, it's like it's hard because you're a up and coming rising like Australian combat sports hero, and then we also got Kai Kara France as well. You know what I mean, from New Zealand, and I'm really excited for this fight, man. How you kind of feeling coming into this fight next week?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's he's a very tough fighter, and I've always wanted to prove that I'm the toughest guy on the block. So I'm excited for that opportunity, and I mean we're gonna put on like a proper, good old fashioned fight for the fans. It's not gonna be. It won't be boring. I guarantee it. We're gonna go try to kill each other, and the crowd will hopefully enjoy it greatly.
Were you at the Volkanovski and Islam fight last year?
That atmosphere was unbelievable.
I flew out to Perth to go see it, and it was the first time in Perth. And man, I was shocked at how amazing that whole arena was. The support that came out, and the whole time everyone was just screaming. Man, it was a blur. It was an absolute blur of an event. Eh?
Yeah, it was. Like I didn't expect it to be that good. Like the fight, I expected to be good. I didn't expect the crowd to be that crazy. Like I'd been to the UFC in Perth a few years before that when Luke Rockhold fought Yoel Romero.
Oh, that's right.
And it was a good event. Like had got some good fighters on it and that sort of thing. Yeah. And the crowd was good, but it wasn't like that. That was just another level.
Yeah. So how does it feel coming from Perth to actually be a co-main event like in that arena again? You must be super hyped, man, to put on a performance too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like being the co-main event as a flyweight, I think is awesome. Like,
yeah,
I don't think a lot of people get that opportunity, and especially getting that opportunity in your hometown. So, I can't wait to put on a show for all my friends and my family, and then I get to celebrate with them after.
That's awesome, man. One of the fights I wanted to ask you about was your KO over Matt Schnell.
Yep.
You're pull countering really well on that, and also like the setup was amazing, man. When you connected with him, what would you kind of like process when you were going through that fight, leading him up to the KO?
Well, I knew that he was throwing a lot at the same time that I was throwing, and I just felt that when he was throwing, like as I get low, he's gonna throw at me while I'm low, which means his hands are gonna come down. So if I get low under him and I come back up, his hands will already be low to hit me. So I'll come over the top and hopefully land a shot. Obviously, didn't expect to knock him out. I think the knockouts usually don't come when you expect them to. They just come when you're flowing. And I hit him and I watched him, and he was a very nice guy. And I'd already visualized that if I did hurt him, I was going to watch him. And if I didn't have to hit him again, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And the way he fell down, I was like, it's definitely over. The ref stepped in and it was done.
Yeah, and you can see like after the fight as well, like the referee coming up to him and saying to him like when Schnell was concussed, like he probably didn't know where he was, and he was like,
"No,
oh, it's worse." He was telling him how bad it was his head hitting the canvas more than you KOing him.
Yeah,
did we say that already?
Yeah, I thought that was a bit rough. But,
it was
sometimes
rough, right?
Sometimes you don't know what to say in those situations. I think he was just trying to, I don't know. People deal with trauma differently, right? And he was probably just trying to like make a joke, like that's how he deals with hard situations. I don't know, but yeah, it did sound rough.
Yeah. But you're right. You're totally right, man. Like I've got a background in social work, and I've worked with like kids with like different issues with child protection and drugs and alcohol. And you're right. It actually is true. People do approach trauma in completely different ways, you know? So yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that actually. But you're right. From an outside perspective, like, whoa, it's pretty brutal. But sometimes you're trying to feel something, and how are you going to make someone feel good after getting like knocked out and, in front of all these people, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about your fighting style. Like, your kind of base is more around like Muay Thai. Is that kind of right, Steve? And you're kind of coming up into the game?
Nah, I honestly don't know. I feel like my greatest asset for a long time was my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
Um, and then as I developed, my wrestling was probably up there with my greatest asset in Australia. But
yeah,
I definitely think there's like skills that shine through in different areas. So obviously, like the most obvious one is like you go to Dagestan and their wrestling over there is just amazing. And then you go to America and their wrestling, I guess, is also great. Over
mm,
here, I feel like our stand up, everybody's level of stand up is actually quite high. We have a very, like, as you said, like a good base for Muay Thai and that sort of thing.
yeah.
So over here, my grappling shone through. But when I've gone over to the
Ah,
UFC, fighting all these Americans and
Dagestanis and
like
yeah,
yeah, all
wrestlers.
these other
Yeah,
people, and
yeah,
like they're more grappling heavy and grappling focused, and the level of stand up isn't quite as high. So my striking has shone through in the UFC so far. But yeah, it was like I'll look good in a particular area fight to fight. Like I'll fight an amazing striker, and then oh wow, this kid's a great jiu-jitsu guy, and whatever. It just
yeah,
changes fight to fight.
yeah. Well, I find that like the current meta in UFC right now is so boxing heavy, and your boxing is really crisp, man. Head movement, setting up counters, flowing through that. And I thought your base was originally in Muay Thai and maybe it adapted over time, but you're right. Overall, in all areas, you're really, really well rounded. But I guess kind of seeing the last few fights, your boxing looked really crisp. Is that something you've been working towards more so over the last few years, or just overall just seeing different skill sets kind of shine through on what you're training?
No, I've definitely been working on it for a long time, but I
Yeah.
think the pressure of fighting a UFC fighter is just so high, and I want to be
Yeah.
like I need to improve so fast. So there's that extra pressure, and so the little mistakes you've been making or getting away with before the UFC, you don't necessarily look at with a fine tooth comb, and then once you get
Mm,
there, you're like, oh well, that hand was an inch too low. That's not acceptable. Oh, I'm setting it up this way, whereas that was getting counted too easy. I
mm,
can't be doing this. So it's
mm.
like I feel like if I got to the UFC 5 years ago, I'd be twice the fighter I am today. I think it's definitely a pressure cooker, and you improve a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's unbelievable how many different high level fighters are coming through flyweight as well that are like rising up now as well. Like Tatsuro Taira, he's like a dark horse of the division as well. He's got some amazing jiu-jitsu. Like, what would your approach be if you were going to fight him, Steve?
Uh, Same approach I approach everybody with. I'm gonna try to punch him in the face really hard and hope he falls down.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And you got such good strengths overall, like we were talking about before, your fighting style. But I think your scrambling is probably the most exciting thing for me. Like someone that does more grappling than I do striking. And would you ever consider doing any sort of bigger wrestling in other bigger competitions outside the UFC in the future?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's only been a recent thing that I
Mm,
haven't been competing in wrestling and jiu-jitsu competition, that sort of thing. Like all those competitions. I really believe that the more competition you can get, the better you'll be at competition.
yeah.
And just the fact that I've had so many fights in the UFC close together, I don't want to risk hurting myself at a jiu-jitsu comp or a wrestling comp,
Yeah.
and then yeah, lose out on a big fight, a big opportunity. So I sort of stayed away from it. But I said during COVID to my wrestling coach, I really want to have a run at making an Olympic team for wrestling. And that's not an easy thing to do. Not many Australians have done it. But I think, assuming I can keep myself healthy, I think the 2032 games are in Brisbane. So that would be what I'm looking to do.
That's awesome, man. And
Yeah.
you're totally right. There's not many big time Australian wrestlers. There's a one guy. He's worked like I can't remember his name. He's got like he's a ginger dude, and
Yeah. So he's in the Olympics at the moment. His name's
yeah, that
Jaden
guy.
Lawrence.
Yeah,
He's
him. Yeah,
he wrestled one of the best 86-kilogram wrestlers of this generation, Hassan Yastani.
yeah.
Unfortunately came out second best in that one, but put on a good performance, and he'll likely go on repechage tonight, I think. And then we have one other Olympic wrestler also at 65 kilos, which is my weight class for wrestling. And his name's Georgie. I mess his last name up all the time. It's like Okarokov or Orokorov or something like that.
Yeah.
He's a great talent. And then the last guy, who unfortunately didn't make the Olympics this year, but he's made Commonwealth Games, like bronze medalist, that sort of thing, who I actually do train with. His name's Tom Barnes, and he's awesome, very young, and I can't wait to see what he gets done in his future.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to see how you go on that as well, Steve. Like, I know that guy we were just talking about before, he'd done some work with Whitaker, and he's working out some of the Gracie Humaida gyms out in Sydney. But, you know, I think that, like, in Australia, we don't really have that wrestling pedigree. Like, as you were saying before, we're so good at stand-up. We have amazing kickboxers and boxers. But, you know, you having a crack at that would be pretty exciting, man.
Yeah, I think, honestly, with the growth of MMA, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu, honestly, but wrestling are really growing, especially in Perth. I mean, it could be everywhere in Australia, but I obviously get to see it more closely in Perth. Just the number of people at the competitions and stuff is really growing, and the level is increasing. So it's very exciting, I think. And yeah, I can't wait to get some more comps in.
No, you're totally right. Like, you know, I'm from Sydney and I've seen it explode. I only started jiu-jitsu like maybe 2018 back then. And it was still like a bit kind of a fringe thing. Now, like everyone, their mother, their friends, their brothers, everyone's giving it a crack now, which is really cool to see that kind of become a mainstream thing. Even fighting as well. Like, you know, look at Volkanovski in the media and still in Australia. It's changing over time now, but there was still this thing about UFC being this blood sport, this cockfighting thing in Australia. But it looks like now finally like the media is kind of changing, going, okay, these guys are like high level athletes, you know, competing on the world stage. So it's good to see that kind of become like a mainstream thing over time all across Australia, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite at the level in the media, at least, that boxing is. I think boxing has been widely accepted by everybody in Australia. So you see, obviously, Tim Tszyu gets a lot of publicity. Is it Alex Winwood? He's getting a lot of publicity for his upcoming world title fight. You don't quite get as much for the UFC guys. Volkanovski is a big exception. But I think slowly, and especially because of how great a role model Volkanovski is, I think that will sort of pave the way to more media and publicity for other MMA athletes.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. Like you're a great example too. Your story as well is amazing, man, and the performances you're putting on stage too. Muhammad Mokaev. I had to ask you about Muhammad Mokaev. So I think that there was kind of some discussion, like leading up to your title fight, that they were going to put him in for that fight in Brazil, right? But then now all this stuff has come out about him in the media and that, you know, the UFC is dropping him. I wanted to ask you, like, what are your sort of thoughts? Because he was supposed to be like another kind of dark horse in this division, and that didn't pan out, man. And his kind of behavior as well is what the reason he got cut from the UFC. What are your sort of feelings about that, Steve?
I feel bad for him. Obviously, he's dedicated his whole life to combat, and I don't know much about his story, but he apparently had a hard life growing up and that sort of stuff. So to pick himself up by his bootstraps and make it to where he is now is not an easy thing to do, and to get cut from the one dream you've had for your whole life is pretty rough. But I wish him the best. Hope he, I guess, improves what he needs to improve, and hopefully he gets another crack. But that's all I'll say about it.
Yeah, fair enough. I wanted to ask you just quickly about the comparisons to the Office guy, Steve Carell. I thought that was hilarious, man. Like, I remember waiting and like watching online on Twitter and whatnot leading up to your fight for the title, and then all these photoshops of you onto him or him onto you coming out to fight. I wanted to ask you, did you have that comparison before? Anyone ever said that to you before all these memes came out? Or was this something completely out of left field that came to you?
No, I've been getting compared to like lookalikes for years, like since I was a young kid. So Novak Djokovic is one, obviously. Steve Carell, Ben Stiller or Derek Zoolander. I get so many different lookalikes. I don't know. I just have a generic face, perhaps. But there you go.
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, man, was just around fighting growing up. So you actually got into fighting from watching like pro wrestling, is that right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar came over from the WWE to the UFC, and they did such a good job of promoting it. It got me very excited to watch. And once I watched it, I was hooked.
Oh, is that how it was? I
Yeah.
remember like a kid growing up just watching all like the chairs throwing around, people's like getting hit in their head, people having sex with one another. I was like, whoa, what's going on as a kid, you know? And I thought it was all
Yeah.
real. At school, everyone's
Yeah,
like,
so
it's
did
real,
I.
right?
Yeah.
It's real, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember
But
the first time my
yeah.
cousin told me it was fake. I was like, well, how do they fake the blood then? And yeah, I was so confused. But yes, obviously fake.
And I think it was like, what have been? I think the first UFC fight I watched was like Rampage and Liddell. I
Oh,
caught
yeah.
that, and then I was just like blown away because I was like, oh, the people are getting hit, but they're getting hit and falling down in a totally different way than it was from
Yes.
wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's obvious difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, look, I'm really excited for your fight coming up this Saturday as a co-main event. Appreciate you so much for your time, man. We're really excited to see you on next week in Perth. We're rooting for you, and yeah, see you then.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Take care, mate. I really enjoyed my conversation with Steve, but what did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see my conversation with a woman who survived an absolutely crazy story, you can do so right here. But before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.